relationship?
Fear.
Yeah.
Risk, fear. That is not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? It may not work.
Right.
But you ready for this, Portia?
Yeah.
What if it do? What if it does work?
Right.
What if this is the person for you?
Over the years, I've formed a lot of relationships, not only with like club owners and business owners and restaurants and managers and bartenders and promoters and ticket. Like, it just became you're coming to New Orleans, there would be a mutual connection. And what do you need?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a section here? Do you need, access to this concert? Are you looking for this type of venue? Or you need this car service? So I was able to take everything that I had spent money. I was always a customer. I changed the narrative of me being a customer or like someone actually spending money on these things to offering it as a service to other people to spend money on. So instead of me being the one to pay for this section or to buy the interest of this club or these concert tickets, I advertise it as, what are you looking for? And Lil Wayne concert you can't get tickets for. This Nas concert at Republic, during Super Bowl, and all these random anything that happened in New Orleans for like 10 years. I was blessed enough to navigate to get access to. You know what I mean?
You were able to give people access to things they didn't have access to.
Exactly. Okay. So I was able to actually replace my income, baseline income, by at least doing that. And then I worked in nightclub industries. Like, I've helped manage, I've helped open venues, I've helped just do a lot of those things in that regard. So that kind of kept money coming in. No, you're good.
But with the business aspect, when you were in the nightlife, you're saying that was from your initial job that you had, that you were working in New Orleans, that you built these relationships, or that's where the connections came?
So what happened was, working corporate America, it stresses you a lot. So at the time, I was blessed to, like, all I had to do was go to work. So if I'm working for them 8 hours a day, 16 other hours in a day, I can do other stuff. So I always worked downtown, so I would naturally like make my way to Bourbon at some point and, spend a couple hours there and then go home.
So you just build these relationships organically while you were there?
Being a customer, just networking and just talking to people. And it eventually led me to meet some amazing people that helped me build that network.
Now, were you initially networking, or were you just being a customer and just because you're curious about people, just start talking to people and building relationships?
That's exactly where it came from. Like, it got to a point to where when you go to if I'm gonna see you every week, and it would be like that because there would be different clients that would come on a weekly basis. If you're a security guard, I'm going to talk to you.
Right.
If you're a bartender, I'm going to talk to you.
Right.
Like, at a certain point, the inside doesn't even excite me like that anymore. So I just started making these natural friendships and relationships. And they really, if you can monetize relationships to where it's beneficial for both parties, people aren't going to be opposed to that.
Yeah.
And that's what it became.
Okay.
So if I can help bring in this celebrity that happens to be in town, because I randomly know, we used to have a saying, it's all about knowing low people in high places, right? So you might just, you might just do booking, or you might do emails, you might do something low in someone's eyes, but you're connected to someone that has access to so much more.
Right.
It's about utilizing that access, and all of us have access to something.
Right.
And so I stepped out and started doing that, and that's when I connected with other people that had similar mindsets, and it went from nightlife concierge to owning Airbnbs to doing so many different, so the group that I started with, right? The reason why the first separation, and I'm so elusive because they still ride in New Orleans. So people always ask me, "You're not riding with?" Nah, I'm not. I'm not. I wish them well, but I'm not. Like, I've even so many stories. Somebody actually told me I couldn't even ride my tours down the street. I'm like, so you're telling me I can't ride my tour down this public street in New Orleans because you?
Oh wow.
bet that. So the next day we took 175 people down this street. Like, y'all ready? We're going down Frenchman. We're going this way. Like, no, you're not gonna, like, that's not how it's gonna happen. And a lot of it becomes, and that's with anywhere, I believe.
Yeah.
Even since I've been gone away from here and coming back, born and raised in Baton Rouge, graduated from Baton Rouge High, graduated from LSU, and then took a job in New Orleans, and I've been there ever since. And it's not that far, but it's so different.
Yeah.
But it does, like, it's a, you're not from here, you're on the outside type of scenario.
Yeah.
And I've kind of felt that a little bit here, but I'm so far removed from any of the mainstream stuff anyway. It kind of doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing because I've always wanted to live in that, and the fact that there's not a necessity for belongingness to something. And when you can step out and just be okay in your own essence, and really just live in that and own it, market it, monetize it. Like that's when it becomes beneficial to you. But that was one of the things in New Orleans. So I was never technically on the inside of this group,
right.
Even though we've been knowing each other and everything.
Right.
They went to high school together, they went to college together. So I get it. So I went to go work, help do some marketing for DJ Esco on the Purple Rain tour with Future. And I was gone for like 3 months, and it was an amazing experience. Like that was the type of things I was doing.
Right.
A friend of mine said, "Look, I'm going on this tour. I'm going to be doing some merchandising from like 15 different cities within like 2 or 3 month span. What's your bandwidth looking like?" Like, see what happens. Like, So we planned it out from stop to stop. We planned like tour dates. We planned like appearances. We planned concert after events. And that just showed me like the dedication of hustle from city to city. Like it was an experience that I never thought would take place. Like the money wasn't really just about the money for me. It wasn't that the money wasn't there to be made. It was just such a learning process, and really digging into myself and understanding like, nah, I could really do this if I wanted to. Like I can stand on my own, the whole 10 toes down, but like I can stand on my own 2 feet and be okay.
Yeah.
And corporate America will have you question.
Yeah.
Because living in Louisiana, it's an at-will state. They can just take that from you at any point. They can demasculate you at any point and say, "Nah, give me that paycheck, give me your keys, give me that badge, you can go home." And that's just, you have no recourse for it. And I've been in so many scenarios where I should have. My mom still fusses at me. "You should have filed a lawsuit," and I should have. Convention center, all white bosses wouldn't listen to me, but the white man told me they did. I'm telling y'all for mine. I'm gone. Don't even worry about it. You know what I mean? But so the scenario with the bikes is I came back from the tour and it was LLC, but instead of being mad about it, I was like, great. Y'all are taking strides. Let's keep going, because I was still getting paid. I was doing tours. Right. I was enjoying what I was doing. It was an outlet. Right. At that point, it's still now an outlet, but the business does kind of seep in at a certain point. Yeah. But, it's still always been an outlet for me. And I was in one of those business classes that I told you about, just random business classes. And I'll never forget the teacher asked, like, so what's one thing that you would do for free? And I've heard that a million times. Right. But, and I feel like we all have. But when you really like internalize it and dig in and say, what would I do for free? And wholeheartedly answer that and see how you can make that work. Yeah. And at the time, I was really enjoying riding bikes. Yeah. And I said, if I can make that into a business and really grow that, I would really enjoy it. And the reason why I saw like how we can monetize it, it's just like anything else, right? Like on your resume, you have more than one job. Right. Your current job is built on the experience you got from your last job. So when I started taking that mindset of life being very similar, like I might not always be making the most doing something in one scenario, but the next time I'll know how to monetize it better or how to make more money doing it. Well, that's what I took as much from the corporate America and from LSU and from Baton Rouge High and just from cutting grass at the age of 12 to put myself all the way up until, I delivered newspapers. I cut grass from the age of 12 all the way through college.
Yeah.
Like there were so many different things that I've always done as an ambitious type of, I get it from my parents,
Yeah.
because I saw that what they had to do to maintain where we were. And it wasn't, people like, oh, your parents rich. I used to have kids come over and say like, did your daddy sell drugs? And I didn't realize at the time, like, what? But it was such a commonplace then,
Right.
and it's still so commonplace now that the only people that are our color and successful, there's a larger majority of who are of that industry than any other industry.
Right.
But now we're turning the corner, and thanks to social media, there's so many more examples of the opposite.
Right.
But what happens is, they're still intangible. Like we know black lawyers, we know black doctors, but nobody can really touch that. Like a byproduct of me being here, kids ask me questions all the time about mine. Like, how do you start an LLC? Well, they're charging me $125 for my EIN. Why are you paying for your EIN? It's free. It's free. Like, but our community doesn't have an uncle or an aunt to ask these questions. So it's those type of things. That's why I still go to business classes. I still go to seminars and still do these things because I know where I'm going. I know where I am, but I know where I'm still trying to go. And you have to keep yourself in that mindset and around that circle of people. So with the bikes, it started off with us just riding and just having fun and enjoying ourselves and doing it every Tuesday. It's just an outlet. And then one day, one of the girls was like, I think I want to do this for my birthday party. For my birthday, how much do y'all charge? Charge?
Wait, you weren't charging?
At that time, we were literally just riding bikes every week. Okay. And it would go from like 9 people, but everybody would bring their own bike. So, that's what kind of like where the premise of our community ride comes from. Okay. So our Thursday community ride is built upon that. Yeah. Wow. So I just always wanted to give back to the community and say like, look, if you can't get out any other night of the week, you have a home to ride, to really get out and do that. So that's where that comes from. Ride. Yeah. you know what it is. So, and that's where all of that stems from, like, how it began. And I think you'll hear a lot of similar stories from people, like how certain things start. Yeah. It's not always completely planned out that way. Right. Like I didn't spend thousands and tens of thousands of dollars with Sally Mae to be doing what I'm doing. Right. But I wouldn't change it either. Yeah. We were blessed to see 5,000 customers this past year. Wow. And the most customers I had seen before that was like 350, 500. Wow.
And during the pandemic.
Like it never failed. We'd be riding up and down the street, and the blessing started. Like I still give verbal instructions because I want to look in the face of the people who feel like what I bring to the table is worth spending their hard-earned money on. So, it is. It's just like, it's me looking at the blessing that God gave me in the eye, in the face, So that's why I've yet to do like a vocal recording of here's the instructions. It could be Disney, but I'm not there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I love the personal touch of being able to tell people like, and sometimes you'll catch me, like I'll be mid-sentence and I'll just stop and people are like, what's wrong with them? In their head, but for me, it's just like a realization, like there's literally 45 people here that are sitting in front of me that are ready, excited to go on this bike ride. There's always 1 or 2 naggy people, but there's the large majority is just like, even in those scenarios, like I'll have times when anybody's job is like that. They'll come with things that'll throw you off or that make you feel bad or anything going on. But when that happens, I can actually remind myself, like, everybody else is having a good time. I don't know what's wrong with them, So, and I've almost gotten to that point to where I'll give a refund. Because you're not going to bring that negative energy, like I've done it many times or something. And people are shocked, like, nah, you can, no fees, no, you want your money back? Like, I'll even take the fee. You pay with a credit card, but here's cash, just, because everybody, this is the ambiance that I'm not trying to create. But it did, like, so I kept doing the tours in New Orleans. I kept putting in the groundwork. And I kept looking at ways to make it better. I tried to give suggestions, but nobody was listening. And at a certain point when I prayed about it, it bothered me. I'm like, why didn't I do this for corporate, like larger corporations? I can't get some people just listening. God was like, it's not for you. Just write it down. Keep track of it. see what you want to do. If this
Right.
is what you really want to do.
Right.
So I did. I just started really paying attention. I started, kept doing the amazing job that I was doing, because I'm not going to bash another person's brand to build my own.
Right.
Like, you don't get anywhere by doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm blessed to be where I am, because I've always put my all into everything that I've done for this company, or anyone's company, when it comes to bikes. And it did. It didn't make sense for the longest. My mom didn't understand it. My sister didn't understand it.
That's
Nobody
an important
understood
point,
it. Yeah,
because when people are trying to start something, sometimes we look to those closest to us to grab it and to be excited and thrilled and see what we see. And that's a lot of times the discouragement that keeps people from even taking that first step, because they're telling people closest to them, and when they don't get it, they feel like, well, maybe it's not good enough. So
and one of the most empowering things I've read is like, stop telling people because it's not for them to do.
Yeah.
And it's so hard, but
it is.
It's you're gonna do it. You're going to do it. There's a natural inclination to actually do it. So I'm not saying don't, but limit it, but also be mindful. Enter the conversation with the mindset of really put yourself in that person's shoes. Yeah. Have they ever opened their own business? Right. Have they ever stepped out and done anything eccentric? Have they ever? So when you get responses for them, more or less fill them in and let them know, I'm not asking for your a yes or no. Yeah. This is what I'm doing. Support me, be there for me, uplift me. And when you have those hard conversations, it moves different.
I think though, like, you have to be at a place of confidence in yourself and in your vision to really have that conversation, because I think sometimes it's our own insecurity, our own fears, our own doubts in ourselves. But once you made up your mind, even if you weren't so confident in that it was going to be successful, maybe you had made up your mind, you were so done with corporate. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Look, I gotta figure something out. It
really became I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it literally started on a second revenue stream. I can work corporate America, but in the back of my mind, corporate America didn't bother me so much, because I knew I had other things going. Right. It wasn't enough to replace it. Right. But in my mind, I'm like, if I can get this storefront, if I can do this and this and this, it might. Right. No, it did. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's a blessing to say that it honestly did. Yeah. But it never, throughout the entire process, I didn't know where it was going, but I kept trying to push.
And how long was this process for you?
6-7 years now. Like, it started from me initially riding with that group and doing tours with that group, and then I honestly was only helping with tours. Okay. I wasn't even leading them, but it was from the process with bikes. Were like, we used to bring bikes up and down stairs. Every single one, after every single tour, between, you know what I mean? Like, that's why when I had the way I do it now, even when I want to get frustrated, I'm like, you remember them stairs? Carrying the bikes up and down stairs? Like, imagine doing tours all night long, and then carrying up 30, 40 bikes up and down stairs. And then it went from stairs to an elevator in a storage facility, but you're still literally like riding a bike, riding a bike. Well, so it was never logistically, but in my mind, it just helped me understand, like, nah, I don't want to do it that way. It's not efficient that way. So it helped. Everything was a build up to where I am now. But you really have to step outside of the emotion and look at what's being presented to you. And that's not easy, and I still discipline myself to do so.
When you say 7 years, that was 7 years from the thought to opening, or 7 years including up to now? Like
7 years up until now.
When you had the idea and when it started, how long was that?
I knew from working with that once we did enough birthday parties that I'm like, I can do this. So from the start of me riding to me actually opening my own, probably like a year and a half, maybe 2. Okay. And it just got to a point to where I felt comfortable, confident in what I could do.
So you had an opportunity to kind of experience it ahead of time. Everyone doesn't get that opportunity.
But the thing is, that was a low-paying opportunity. It was next to nothing.
But you got the experience.
But that's what I'm saying, right? So a lot of people will have chance for that opportunity.
They just don't want it.
Nah, because there's nothing appealing about it. Nothing appealing about it. You want me to move some bikes, lead some tours, and you're gonna give me $20? Like, so I'm a crackhead now. No offense to anybody, but you know what I mean? Like, that's what it becomes. Like, I'm demeaning myself down to that point, but at a certain point, you really have to humble yourself if that's what you want.
Right.
And so that's what I mean. Like it's a lot of people don't have the opportunity, but they do. They're just not open to making it an opportunity. Like that really wasn't an opportunity. That was like easily coming back off of that tour and it becoming like like I really still had to fight for my way in. There was a lot of people that I was working with and didn't want to see me doing what I was doing. There would be other people riding every week with us that said that they should be leading, and I'm like, I just came to ride.
So
I just put a speaker on the back.
It wasn't even easy for you. Like you was like sometimes there was tension.
No, there was always tension.
Always tension.
Like it was just because I'm an outsider.
An excuse to say, you know what, I'm done with this.
Yeah,
stuck with it.
And that's the part about it.
Right.
Yeah. Then I appreciate you asking because it would seem that way, right? But there was always something going on. There would always be, somebody's best friend I get it. If it's me or somebody you've known for 12 years, then I'm going to take a back seat to them. Right. And there's no hard feelings about that. But I had to grow and mature to understand that.
Yes.
But, I would just create opportunity. I would still come. I would still help. I would still try to do something. Right. Even though, like I said, it was bare minimum.
Right.
But it wasn't always easy. And then it just became even when I broke out and branched out on my own, I always knew I wanted to come home to Baton Rouge because there was very little to do and the community needed it.
Yeah.
And it was a more lucrative, it made more sense. In New Orleans, you'll have to be there for hours to really give someone an adequate tour. Okay. Whereas here, there's so much amazing beauty in just downtown that you can structure an hour. Right. So I give everybody 60 minutes. It's for me, like, I want to give you an experience. I don't want to cut you short. I don't want to do 30 minutes. I don't want to do anything less. Right. So that's why the tours are still an hour, but you can rent from 30 minutes to an hour, 2 hours. But that's why I knew I wanted to bring it here. So even when I first came here, I got to the point to where I couldn't afford a bunch of new bikes. So I would just buy used bikes, break them down, change out the parts, put commercial parts in, and paint them. They were like the ugliest bikes. They're like that I would just get for free for someone, right? But that's where the bike customization kind of started from for me. So it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always like, even though I was working, I still had bills and overhead. So I didn't really have a lot to invest in other places. And at the beginning of this journey of me stepping away from corporate, it's you still have that corporate overhead with none of the corporate income, Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of capital around. And, my parents and my family were going through their own thing. Yeah. They I'm a grown man at this point. They're not here to sustain a grown man just because he wants to ride bikes for the rest of his life. Right? You know what I mean? Like nobody really, and that's what I mean. Like it will create a distance between me and my family. And I didn't even realize it. Yeah. Because I was pursuing something that made sense to nobody, including me. Yeah. But I didn't know.
That's the hard part. That is like when you're trying to still figure it out, and people want you to explain something you can't explain.
There's no.
And then you start saying stuff, and then they start combating. It's like, well, look, you know what?
and that I'm telling you that is the journey. That is definitely and when you
don't be discouraged.
Don't be discouraged. It's there to groom you. Like that's growing pains. Yeah. Because if you can't explain it to them, how you expect anyone else to buy into? Right. So that was some of the things that I really was getting accustomed to. And even when I first stepped out and came here, I was still technically working with the group in New Orleans, and that still didn't go over well. But it was, there's so many it's crazy. But it just, at a certain point, I'm like, I have to. Like there was no longer a reason why I shouldn't. It was just a time, and I really wasn't ready to be in Baton Rouge full time. But initially, I started with 8 bikes and just started doing tours and advertising. And when I started selling out the 8, I just would buy more, pay what bills I could, but just buy more bikes. Continue the process of buying used bikes for $20 on Craigslist. Breaking them down, sanding them, painting them on my own, and really beautifying the bike to make them rental worthy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So until I could buy new bikes, and it just got to the point to where, once that ambition continues to grow, people start to notice. Yeah. And at a certain point, people see what you got going on. Like, you're loading these 12 bikes, 14, honestly. I got it to where I could put like, actually it was 12. Like 8 in the back of the truck, and then I had another bike rack and some other, like, I had really just rigged up this whole, but it was working.
Yeah.
And it would be like, people would see I would be out there by myself. Sometimes I might have help. The one person who's always been a constant is my cousin Ashton, who's doing it now. And people like, you know, well, Ashton came from New Orleans, and he's been there through it all, you know. Even when I didn't pay, I made sure that he got paid, and everything else around me got taken care of, because, you know, he didn't have to. But, you know, it's a blessing that someone internally, like, I might get a call at the last minute for a ride. My other cousin, Ace, helped me out a lot as well, but he worked a full-time job. Okay. But, you know, and that's why, you know, I go the distance for family now, is because even though all family's not the best, from what I hear from everybody, you can't always love family. I'm like, my family's not like this. Like, you know, we might not always agree all the time, but my mom and my own mother and I don't agree all the time, but I don't love her anymore. So, you know, once you break down that barrier of giving your friends what you don't give your family, things hit a little different. They make more sense. And I think that I continue to gain traction and continue to be blessed because I really do put my family first. And if you put your family first, sounds so cliche, but the world will really be in a different place, right? Like, if you have that cousin that has issues, or you have that aunt or that uncle, or that, we all have that. We all do. It's one of the things I've realized, because I've seen a lot of them on bike rides. I'm like, I got one of you in my family. You know what I mean? Like, not in a bad way, but it's just, you see those characteristics, right? So, if we focus on internal, and I think that's one of the byproducts of COVID, now you're home to focus on those problems. If they can be annoying, as you know, like, I get it, they can be annoying, but you have annoying friends, but for some reason you allow them to come in and out of your life. But the one thing with family is, if they get too far out of hand, you can tell your grandmother, you can tell your aunt, you can tell whomever, you know what I mean? But it just brings you closer, because if every family unit is working to elevate their own family unit, they're going to succeed. Other ethnicities do this all the time. But for some reason in our culture, it's a little bit harder to grasp. And some of it is just, I can go on and on, but some of it is just because we've been fed all these, like, street principles to live by, and idioms of, like, the game is to be sold, not to be told. Google makes billions of dollars giving away game all day. You know what I mean? Like, they give information. If we give more information to each other and help each other more, we can skip those pitfalls. But nobody wants to be passed up. Nobody wants to see somebody outshine them, in a sense. But most of the time, what I've learned is that family has a, you know, if nothing else, there's still that blood that's flowing through them. They realize, like, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it became. Like, you know, so I've had that help there, but it wasn't easy. Like, I really, you know, and even now it's still not easy, but I realized that I've gone through so many iterations to get here that it might look different. Even from me losing the business and then having to start over again from scratch. You know, like, there's been so many things that people don't even know about, and that have kind of come to light since I've been back in Baton Rouge. But it's I was in church one day, and you know, friends and business don't always mix. And I was in church, and I really had to pray about it. And the pastor was giving a sermon about, you know, how I won't say David, but it's been a while ago. But, you know, I just remember that they kept going from place to place, and every time they got to a land, I was going to say it was David, you know, within that land, they would become settled, and then for some reason, some kingdom would come and take it. Something, it was always taken from them. And finally, they got to a place, and it was called Rehoboth. And you know what? Okay, all right. So, and that's really what it was. It wasn't ideal, but then it was still a blessing, and they made it their own, and they would flourish. But they had to walk away so many times. And you have to learn that in life. You have to walk away so many times. And, you know, if you don't know, Nard has a new gym across the street. But I talked to him about it a lot because when I first got here, moved and really started full time in Baton Rouge again. He actually, his gym had burned, and I told him it's for a reason. And now he's opening up his third location.
Wow.
And you know, and I told him I realized the same thing. Like, it had to be taken because I was complacent. When you're destined for greatness, and all of us are, and once you get in alignment with that greatness, and in your own individual right, if you become complacent or you're not using it, it will be taken from you. And when you realize that it's not taken away for good, it's just a wake-up call, you know, and that's what it became. Like, you have to go keep that same ambition, keep that same drive, and that's one of the things that I'm disciplining myself on.
All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have been enjoying this series on the business series on entrepreneurship with Charles Daniel. I know I have been enjoying it myself. I enjoyed it the first time, but I'm enjoying watching it and listening to it again. He dropped again some more gems. So for someone who is in the process or considering starting your own business, be encouraged through his journey, and don't be afraid of the path shifting. He talked about, when he went to school, this was not the particular journey that he expected to be on. And then there were times that he had to leave, and not being afraid to leave and maybe change up the plan a little bit, looking at ways to monetize relationships. There was so much in there. So today, after you finish listening to this, I hope that you sit down and look at your particular situation and see if there's anything from your situation that you can refer to the lessons that he shared or the wisdom he shared, and really begin to apply it. Are there some things that you need to walk away from? Is there a time that, is it working where you're at? And if it's working good, everyone doesn't have to leave. So I'm not encouraging that. But for those who are having to make that difficult decision, don't be afraid. Those who are feeling the inclination to start something on the side, but you worked hard for a degree, don't feel the hesitation. Don't be afraid. Maybe you started something on the side and now it's turning into something more. Follow your heart, follow your passion. I want you to be encouraged. Pray about it, think through it, but don't let fear stop you. So those are some individual things that we can do after listening to this conversation. I hope you begin to have conversations with more people. Have conversations with entrepreneurs. Whether you understand or don't, begin to just be inquisitive. Be curious. I've said before, be curious, not critical. Try to figure out what's going on. What was their process? Why did they decide to do this? There's so many reasons behind and motivations behind someone's decision. And so again, I'm just excited. I'm excited about your journey. If you have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up, send me a message on my website, on IG, on here. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All of that matters. And again, we thank you for your time. Some upcoming events. Tomorrow morning, yes, tomorrow we are getting up and we're walking into wellness one step at a time. This is for anybody, whether you're already healthy and you already exercise or you never exercise, and everyone in between. You are welcome to come join us. It is a 4-mile walk, so wear comfortable shoes, bring a bottle of water, but come out and let's walk together. Let's get healthy together. It's going to be a fun time. It's great to walk with other people. You can wear your mask, you can socially distance, whatever it is you need to do to feel comfortable, but let's get healthy together. I'm excited about that. So Tanisha, I will be out there with Tanisha from Extreme Life with Tanisha. She is a physical trainer, so she will be out there walking with us. We will have some giveaways, so definitely come out and join us in the morning. LSU Lakes, we're excited and we'll be happy to have you. Then on Sunday, Charles Daniel from Go Ride and I will be hosting a networking event at Go Ride, and so we're excited to have that event. We are meeting up at 6:00. It's going to start at 6:30. Like I said, it's a networking event. I will be providing food complimentary for my birthday. So Sunday happens to be my birthday, and y'all, all year I have been thinking, or all summer since I started coming to Go Ride, I have been thinking I want to celebrate. I'm sorry, I keep itching. I wanted to celebrate my birthday at Go Ride. And it just so happened that the episode that I did with Charles and the community activity fell on my birthday weekend. So I'm excited that I'm actually spending my birthday at Go Ride, but it's not about my birthday. It's really about the networking event. It just happens to be my birthday as well. So I hope that you will sign up. It is $30 for the ride. It's a private tour that we will have, but we will have some time to network before, build relationships, connect, and collaborate. Chuck and I will also be planning another entrepreneur activity. So that will be coming up soon. Be on the lookout for that. More information will be coming. Again, my next episode is going to be with Trey. I'm excited about that. He is from the Clippers. He is the Clippers king. And so I'm excited. We're actually going to be talking about finances. And I said my next episode, so I apologize. I have 2 more episodes with Charles. So we're going to finish up this series with Charles. And then after that, it will be the finance series with Trey. And so I'm excited about the gems that he dropped in that conversation. We're going to continue to progress one step at a time, build relationships, connect, and just grow as individuals. So I hope again that you're starting to have conversations, but then we want to act on the things that we're talking about. We don't want to just watch and say, oh, that was good information. No, let's actually do something. And so that's what the community activities are for. Reach out to me if you have some personal things you want to work on. That is something that will be available as well. Okay, so now it is time for the dedication segment. Last time I failed to kind of review again what the purpose of the dedication segment is. So the dedication segment is a time that we can write a letter. It could be a love letter, a letter of encouragement. It could be a prayer. It could be a closure letter. It could be a poem. It could be an apology letter. It could be a letter to someone deceased. But the purpose of this is a time to express our feelings to one another, to express our feelings to someone else, is to spread and share positivity, but it's also going to allow those who maybe did not grow up in a home where there was where people really openly express feelings and emotions. It's allowing them to hear other people share and express their feelings and emotions. So I hope that you all tune in and you continue to watch these segments because they are really been touching, uplifting. People have been opening up and sharing, and I'm so thankful for each person who has opened up and shared with us on this platform. So today I have a letter from Dr. Kimberly Marie, and so this is to her husband. She writes, "Dear Sir, in 2010, I would not have imagined that we would have experienced what we have in those 4,013 days. We have cultivated life and came together in moments of sadness to celebrate deaths. It was because of you I have been able to live the vows we spoke so beautifully to each other. Thank you for allowing me to become the woman I could have only dreamed of. I am writing this letter to openly say to you that I love you. And I thank God for extending our time together here on earth. One of the things I love and admire about you is your ability to love people beyond yourself. Thank you for being a man who is not afraid to express your love for your family. Thank you for being a man that covers your family. Thank you for being a protector. Thank you for being you. Just as a lot of women, I prayed and asked God to send me a Boaz, but I am grateful in my prayer that he didn't listen to me and he sent me you. God knew I needed a man far greater than Boaz. I honor you as my head and leader. Mariko Rayon Bangwell, I love you now and for a couple of forevers. For sincerely, Kimberly Marie." Y'all, that is the sweetest letter. Okay, and if y'all don't know this couple, they are an amazing couple. She just received her doctorate not long ago. She is a licensed counselor, but her husband was in a tragic car accident a while back, and that's where she spoke of those 4,000 something days. And I mean, the love expressed from their community, their family, and just to see how God has blessed him to recover, to be back with his family. I mean, their story is an amazing story. God's hand is truly upon their life, and he truly is a sweet soul. She's a sweet soul, he's a sweet soul, and I love them as a couple. They have a beautiful family, and just an example of what God can do, and it just is so encouraging as I'm reading the letter, trusting and believing God that he will bless me with the very things that I desire in a husband. And I pray that any other single person is encouraged to know, and any couples out there, that true love really does exist, that you can be happy with someone, that someone can love you and protect you the way you desire. And so thank you for sharing your love with us. Thank you for opening up. And so y'all, thank you so much for joining me this week. That is everything. So I hope that you all continue to tune in, reach out, like I said, like, subscribe, share. I'm stumbling over my words. But yes, definitely tune in. Make sure you're sharing with people. Make sure you're having conversations. Make sure you're spreading the word. And I have some more information to share, just a little bit more about me beginning to understand more about where it is God is heading me, what he's leading me to do. So thank you again, and y'all have a great one.
You can unlearn that and look at money as a seed, and say, hey, look, if I plant this here,